What are you hiding here, Zay? So, guys, just pointing out to you that Zay Frank's Twitter account is protected. You can't see any of his tweets unless you are approved to see them. I don't think it's even a matter of you can see them if you follow him. I think it might be a matter of you have to follow him and then be approved. I'm not going to click on follow. I do not want to follow him. I would like to see the information, though. He made this big announcement a little while back saying, F Twitter, F Elon Musk, which is funny because I consider Elon Musk as being a suspect and for being a member of this cult. He's definitely a suspect. And again, I do think that these guys the men in this network will pretend to not like each other, and or maybe they don't actually like each other. You can be a part of a group or a gang or a club and not like some other members in the club, right? Right. So maybe he really genuinely does not like Elon Musk or does not like the direction that Elon Musk decided to take Twitter in. But that still doesn't explain why Zay Frank feels the need to hide his previous tweets. Even if he's not using the platform anymore, there are a lot of people who stopped using this platform. They didn't bother to just lock up their tweets so that only special people can see them. So again, I'm just wondering, what is Zay Frank hiding on his Twitter? And again, let me remind you guys that I am investigating Zay Frank and his father, Joachim Frank, and other people like David Katavi, like Richard Hart, Richard James Schuler, like Tony Robbins, Elon Musk, for being a part of a cult network, a group of people who I think are engaging in child abuse on the sly. I think that they possibly also commit incest with their own children, if they have children. This all sort of has to do, it has to do with basically worshiping of the devil. Call it what you will. It has many names. This energy or essence of creativity. It's also about creativity. So the Abrasics is probably one of the better faces of this entity, because the Abrasics stands for creation and destruction. These are all creators, guys. Richard Hart creates cryptocurrencies. Zay Frank creates funny media content. Katavi, literally, he writes books about being creative. Elon Musk creates companies. Although, if you pay attention, there are people out there picking apart Elon Musk, for example. There are definitely people out there picking apart Richard Hart, Richard Schuler. A lot of these guys, if you really look into them and look hard at their accomplishments, you'll see that they don't really have many. A lot of the stuff that they, quote unquote, achieved was sort of either them taking credit for more things than they should be taking credit for, or really just having things handed to them. They essentially, in a lot of ways, they didn't earn it. But I do think that in order to sort of get, how would you say, to get favor with this deity of creation and destruction, the idea being to break a few eggs to make an omelet, you have to destroy to create, so on and so forth. And again, the representation of that is the Abrasics. One of the representations of that, let me pull it up here, is the Abrasics. There we go. A deity of creation and destruction, often compared to the devil. and considered to be sort of the overlord of the material world. So this is what they're worshiping. This cult network that I have been investigating. And why? Well, again, I believe that they believe that if they appease this deity, whether it's something that they externalize as being a force greater than themselves, or something that they internalize as being an aspect of human nature, of human psychology, and they are trying to sort of wake it up in order to create, one way or the other, that's what I think they're trying to do. And if you meditate on the psychology behind this deity, behind the devil really, and what the devil would ultimately want from its followers, his followers, it would be child rape, because that's the worst thing you can do. And really, to rape your own children is the worst thing you can do. And if you think through the psychology behind, I guess, what would happen to a person if they did do something like that, they would, well, I don't want to project too much or assume too much that these people maybe have consciences, but I'm just trying to put myself in their shoes and thinking, look, but I have a conscience is the thing. And if I ever did something like that, the kind of sort of a crisis of identity I think that I would have, and I think that these guys would have, it. I can imagine it sort of waking your brain up, at least. I can imagine it sort of causing all kinds of I don't know, new connections to be made. It would cause you to sort of maybe internalize and go inside yourself and pick things apart and try to figure out why you did that, why you want to do that. For any of the dudes that might actually even be inclined to do that. I'm sure that there are child abusers out there that don't think it through why they want to abuse children. But yeah, I'm trying to understand these dudes, their psychology, and I try to be careful not to project onto them things like a conscience. Because very, very likely they don't have one, or it's not very powerful, at least, because it doesn't seem to keep them from doing what I suspect them of doing. Anyway, so yeah, sorry, I'm rambling a bit, but I do think that a lot of this centers around worship of this creature, again, whether externalized or internalized, and I'm trying to figure out how it might be that if you were to make certain sacrifices to this creature, you might be gifted with divine inspiration. And that really is one of the biggest reasons why I think they would do this. It's a matter of trying to gain divine inspiration from this entity. And again, it could be an external force or it could be an internal force. I'm trying to figure out what's going on inside their minds, the psychology behind it, if it is an internal force that they're trying to, I guess, stimulate. Some kind of internal energy, internal mechanism in their psychology, in their minds. This creature is meant to represent something that's not just external. It's meant to represent something that's in all of us. The way that they say everyone has original sin, everyone sort of has a little bit of the devil in them. So again, I'm trying to sort of piece that together, if that makes sense to you guys. I'm trying to figure out how that works. How the act of abusing a child might stimulate the monster in you. And I guess that monster is responsible for creativity. And anyway. Yeah, so let's leave this one there. I just wanted to point out that Ze Frank has locked up his Twitter feed to anyone who is not approved to see the posts. And that's, you know what? Let's see. I'm going to hit follow. Oh, it's pending? No. Discard. Forget it. So I hit follow just to see if I would automatically be accepted so that I could see the posts, but it's pending. He has to approve it. Yeah. No thanks. Don't need your approval, jackass. I could maybe find other ways in. But all right, we'll leave it there. I do think that to some degree again, Ze Frank knows that I'm investigating him. He definitely knows by now that I'm investigating him. I've been releasing videos about this dude for like at least a couple of years now, talking about how I think he's a part of a cult that engages in child abuse. So he knows what I'm doing. And within the last couple of years, he was all like, I'm done with Twitter. I'm shutting down my Twitter. And then he locked up the posts and made it so that people can't see his posts unless they are following him. So you have to be a follower of Ze Frank. You have to be one of his little fanatic, crazy followers who think that he's so amazing in order to see any of the stuff he posted on there. That's just so sad, Ze. It's so sad. And again, it makes me wonder, what do you have on here that I could probably use as more evidence against you? And maybe that's really why you're doing this. Or prove me wrong. Just unlock your Twitter feed. It should be easy to make it so that anyone can view your Twitter feed even if they're not following you, right? Right? Right. So yeah. Just putting in some evidence.